Welcome back, traders. We ended up getting a nice bounce in the market today. We're going to discuss the technical outlook for the market, and we are also going to go through a ton of focus list names that could be setting up into tomorrow's session. Without further ado, let's dive in. The S&P 500 finished out the session about 1.5% higher after we shook out below this monthly value area low yesterday. Now we are sitting above this 50-day simple moving average, and we also made it above the 5-day EMA. Zooming into the hourly chart, we do have resistance above us at 3943.75. That is the weekly value area low. We finished out the session with 87.8% up volume, which is a very nice positive change. The trend model actually flipped from a -1 to a +1, and the leading broad market index for today's session was the small caps, finishing up 1.72%. Now here's what's pretty interesting heading into Christmas. We got a decent bounce in the S&P 500, right? So far, we've reclaimed about 23.6% of the losses that we experienced over the past 2 weeks, but the VIX is already down at the 20 level, which coincides with prior bottoms in the VIX. So the question I'm asking myself is, how much more meat is there on the bone of this rally, or did we already experience most of the bounce? That is the key question moving forward. And for that reason, heading into tomorrow's session and really into the Christmas holiday, I highly recommend you keep the VIX on your screen. If tomorrow the market opens up and the VIX is positive and it really just can't sink any further, then that'll be a good indication for me that we've already experienced a lot of the bounce. Today's sector leaders were KWEB, the China Internet ETF names. We had a nice pullback to the 20-day SMA here. Another big leader for today's session was the semiconductors. This chart, not gonna lie, looks pretty horrible. We are approaching this overhead supply here. This is about 3 weeks of players that are underwater, but nonetheless, pretty nice bounce today. The biotech sector was another leader. We did end up tagging this monthly value area high before we fell off and ended up closing inside of value. And another beautiful group for today's session was the TAN Solar ETF. There's a couple of interesting names that we're going to dive into from this group. So let's go through some names that are on a pretty large focus list for today. The first one, this is a name that I've been stalking for a while, Array. I remember looking at Array on this particular candle, December 14th. I'm not going to lie, I was pretty tempted to buy this thing, and I'm so glad that I didn't. It ended up falling back into value. We got a shakeout all the way to almost this 50-day simple moving average. Even today's candle was a pretty big shakeout, and we finished the day above the 20-day simple moving average. Definitely going to have this one on my radar for tomorrow. Crocs, this was a name that we pointed out. Crocs is a name that we flagged for all Pristine Capital members in Discord at about 10:30 a.m. this morning, and it moved in sympathy with Nike, which reported really good earnings. Now, Nike did finish up the session 12.18%. Is this a beautiful, glorious candle? Not really, but we were at least able to hold the gains from that gap. Now, while there were a bunch of names that were breaking down and some names that didn't really have bounces, we're going to go rapid fire here. There are some really good looking names into tomorrow. First one, Caterpillar. This is pretty good, right? We broke out of this monthly value area and we're trading at a new swing high. Mobileye, this was a name that we traded a couple weeks ago. Excuse me, Mobileye. I don't know why I call it Mobileye. This one, took this for a nice gain earlier on in the month, and this one looks like it could be setting up again. 4, I actually took an entry in this name today. This one looks very solid, and we're approaching the upper end of that consolidation zone. First Solar, another solar stock that finished out above the 20-day simple moving average. Tidewater, approaching the top of value. KOF, another emerging market stock. Capri, luxury retailer. This stock could move in sympathy with Nike and or Crocs. Tech Resources, I really like this tight pattern that we've been in. We have a VPOC that it looks like we got just a hair shy of taking out right at 38.63. This one will definitely be on my list tomorrow as well. TME, Tencent Music, a Chinese equity that had an incredible run off the lows. We pulled back to the 10-day EMA and we zoomed higher. This Chinese equity group definitely going to continue to be on my radar. We caught some explosive moves in this group in Pinduoduo and Alibaba earlier on in the month. And then we have 9 Energy. This stock Am I going to take an entry in here tomorrow? Absolutely not, but it is good to see that some stocks are actually breaking out to new highs. Now, we do have a wild card heading into tomorrow. We just had this meeting between Biden and Zelensky. Zelensky, apparently since the Russian invasion, which was about 300 days ago, this is the first time that he's actually left the country. He had this meeting with Biden. Biden is pretty much saying that we're going to give the Ukrainians the Patriot missile defense system, and we're going to teach them how to use it. And basically the rhetoric right now is, hey, we're not backing down. The market could have a reaction to this tomorrow. It could be positive or negative. Vladimir Putin could have a response to this tomorrow, and that could cause a positive or negative reaction in the market. And keep in mind that we do have low liquidity for Christmas. So any of those movements could be highly exaggerated. With that being said, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. We're actually approaching 600 subscribers, which is awesome. If you want to trade alongside me, visit pristinecapital.net and get yourself signed up. Have a great night, everyone.